All Japan Champion Carnival 2021 Night 1. Going to do a little review on this, man. A little bit behind. Has to get some time to catch up, but you know what it is, man. We're in the Osaka Edion Arena number 2 in Osaka, Japan. Going to go over the tournament matches, not doing any pre-matches, so we're doing the tournament matches. So without any further ado, first Champion Carnival match we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Shuji Ishikawa defeating Koji Doi here in about 9 minutes and 9 seconds. So this match, in my opinion, was a really good sprint. Doki worked over Ishikawa's left arm, but the big dog, Big Suge, kept using to do strikes and lariats. If you can get past that point, this was still a fun match. Doi even got Ishikawa up in the Argentine backbreaker here. So Ishikawa was able to win with the Luthez press, which looks convincing against a much smaller opponent. But Doi in his own right is a fairly beefy dude, so I have a harder time taking it seriously as a finisher in this context. So Doi looked good. He got plenty of offense in. I think he'll end up being a great addition to the tournament this year. So I thought this was a really solid contest. Next match we had Koei Sato defeating Suwama right here. So this was much better than their Triple Crown match, in my opinion, that they had back in February. Part being to do how in the length that it was. They threw bombs out of the gate and they didn't go so long that these guys, who are both over 40 years old, got gassed. This is what you think the Sato versus Suwama match will ultimately be. This ultimately ended up is what you think this match would be. There was some sloppiness here, but some stiff action, the big moves, in my opinion, made up for it. Suwama, once again, was great at selling in this match, which is something he really doesn't get a lot of credit for. A lot of people will be far less critical of Suwama if he wrestled more shorter matches like this, in my opinion. So, next match we have Shinjiro Ohtani defeating Yume Yagi here in about 9 minutes and 51 seconds. So Ohtani, as we all know, is one surly motherfucker right here. So Ayagi was the perfect opponent for him, the perfect first opponent for him, excuse me. So Yagi can play the young upstart trying to inflame the veteran and also be the sympathetic babyface. Ayagi did both here, in my opinion. He mocked Ohtani and did his signature face wash. So that was pretty cool to see that. Ohtani then proceeded to torture his much younger opponent with lots of kicks to the face here. Ayagi managed to regain the momentum. He got a near tap out with the end game. Ohtani managed to fight back and hit a huge lariat. Ayagi kicked out at 1. Then Ohtani hit the Kezagiri chops for the win. This was great, and each man played their role perfectly, in my opinion. If you haven't seen Shinjiro Ohtani in a while, and many haven't because 0-1 barely makes tape here, he hasn't lost very many steps and is a big asshole as he's always been. I'm excited to continue to watch him throughout this tournament. So this is a very solid match right here. Next match, we had Jake Lee defeating Shotaro Oshino right here. Oshino hit suplexes early and went for the ankle lock right away here in this match. Lee threw the referee at a charging Oshino, and Oshino ran right into him. Lee then used this to hit a running knee to the back of Oshino's head and follow up with the D4C for a quick win. This was certainly not how I thought this match would go, honestly. It was arguably more of an angle to get the match than a match to get over, just how dastardly Jake Lee is now. I think it accomplished that. I love Lee's diabolical cackling here. So now if you think this made Oshino look too weak, I couldn't blame you. But let's see where Jake Lee's character arc starts to go from here. This was really good while it lasted. So next match we got Zeus defeating Kento Miyahara in about 18 minutes and 16 seconds here. Miyahara and Zeus, as we all know, can have a great match in their sleep. This was like a digested sized version of their other matches, in my opinion. We got the power driver on the apron spot from Miyahara and Zeus going for the frog splash. They cut out some of their sequences at the end, just lay into each other with stiff strikes here that look really nasty. But this is night 1 of the tournament, honestly, so you don't want to be taking too much of a beating, so I can't really blame these guys here. If you've seen their other matches, you know these guys are also great in their finishing stretches, and that was ultimately the case here. Zeus managed to endure several blackout knees from Miyahara and used some great-looking lariats to neutralize Miyahara and won with a jackhammer. This is not their best match, but this is still a great way to close out this show right here. So, my final opinion on night 1, I thought it was a great opening night at the Champion Carnival. There were no stinkers, and everyone worked relatively hard right here. This year, in my opinion, has already exceeded last year's Champion Carnival after one night. To be fair, though, it's honestly a real low bar, but I have a good feeling things will remain high quality with this tournament going forward. So, yeah, that was night 1, guys. I'm going to be here shortly with night 2, so be on the lookout for that very shortly. And we are the SOS Wrestling Network, almighty SOS Wrestling Network. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. All that good stuff, you know what it is. Out of here. Peace. Night number 2 of All Japan Champion Carnival. Let's go. We're in Nagoya, Japan right now. Let's get into it, man. So the first Champion Carnival match of this night, we had Yuma Yagi defeating Shotaro Oshino right here. While coming up short in the match that Yuma had an absolute banger in night 1 against Ohtani here, and he's been one of the highlights of All Japan in my honest opinion. Oshino, meanwhile, got punked out by Jake Lee on night 1. A streak that will kind of continue in this match as he taps clean right here. This match ended up falling a little short in my opinion and did not live up to my expectations. Coming in, it was one of the matches I was looking forward to the most, but it ended up being, in my opinion, just a match here. So Oshino did not seem very motivated to work hard in this match, in my opinion, and that could have maybe hurt the little intensity. Yuma right here, in my opinion, he worked a bit harder than his opponent, but he also didn't go as hard as he could have. Hopefully, both of these guys are just saving their power and their powder for later in the tour. At least Yuma was made to look strong here, as Oshino was now firmly established his role as a mid-card gatekeeper, in my opinion. So, moving on, the next match we had, Champion Carnival. Koji Doi defeating Koei Sato right here. Weird-ass match, man. They heavily teased that Doi got knocked out by Sato, and most of the matches is him laying flat on the back, pretending that he was knocked out. Meanwhile, Sato is just kind of standing there in a ring and just doing nothing. He's just pretty much just standing there. Then Doi quickly recovers and pins Sato. Everything they did before that knockout tease was good and stiff. This was just a match that happened, in my opinion. It was one of the weirdest matches I've ever seen. So, next in the Champion Carnival, we had Zeus defeating Tsuji Ishikawa right here. So, in my opinion, booking in this match made sense, as this gives Zeus a hook to challenge for the Gaora television title after the tournament. That's a perfect spot for him right now to help establish that belt as a true secondary title and not just a comedy undercard belt. That's something All Japan, I feel, needs desperately, is to take some much needed pressure off the Triple Crown. The match itself was pretty good here, but it never really got into that second gear. That definitely added to the house show feel of this show, but so far consistent with the way the Champion Carnival was been kind of in the recent years, so we kind of know how that is. Nevertheless, in my opinion, both of these men worked hard and they gave us a nice little stiff performance, so decent match. Next match we had Kento Miyahara defeating Shinjiro Ohtani right here. Another great match by Ohtani, who once again shows that even at 48 years old, he's still an elite performer and very much belongs in this tournament. While this wasn't nearly as good as either man's match on night 1, it was still easily the best night match of the show. Both of these men put in a good effort, but it was just missing that little bit that elevates a match to be truly special. Nevertheless, it was a match between two of the best wrestlers in the world, and it showed. Just crisp, clean work throughout this, and they even gave us a creative finish as Kento did not win via his patented shutdown German suplex. So I thought that was actually a pretty decent shot right here. So next match we're going to talk about, we got Sawama taking on Jake Lee right here, taking on and defeating Jake Lee right here. So we got two scenarios at play. In one of them, this makes perfect sense and actually helps the story. And another scenario is just more evidence of a cluelessness by the All Japan booking team. For now, I'm willing to believe that we're dealing with the former scenario. And that's, I think a lot of people have been hard on Sawama, so I think they can probably enjoy the work that he's done here in the Champion Carnival so far. So my final thoughts on night 2, in my opinion, was a clear step down from night 1. Still overall a solid show and much better than almost any show from last year's Champion Carnival. Still, if you're pressed for time on this wrestling filled week that we have, because every time you look up as wrestling, whether it's the MLW, Impact Wrestling, WWE, AEW, New Japan, and NXT is WWE. It's kind of hard to just fit wrestling in there when you're just watching so much wrestling. But if this is not a show you have to see, you can go ahead and skip the show if you need to. So that was my coverage of night 1 and night 2. We'll be back for the rest of the Champion Carnival here pretty soon. So we are the almighty SOS Wrestling Network. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that great stuff. Yeah, man. All Japan Champion Carnival 2021 is full swing right now. I think it's doing a much better job than last year. So, all right, y'all, I'm up out of here and I'll take myself to work. Y'all take it easy. Peace.